One thing that I need to mention before we wrap up this module is we need to talk about the concept of a Jabber ID. A Jabber ID, or a JID, is the address, more specifically the address format, that we're going to utilize for our instant messaging address, or our IM address. This is one of those topics that can be really challenging and a hard conversation to have with the business, because sometimes you run into environments where people are bound and determined to implement something one way, but the technology really tries to steer you in another way. And Jabber ID is one of those areas. By default, Jabber ID is made up of two parts. Think of it as left-hand side and right-hand side if you want to. The user at the presence domain. Remember when we configured Unified Communications Manager and our LDAP integration, and we specified what value to use as far as Active Directory or LDAP attribute for creating our user ID? We actually said use SAM account name. Within the Jabber, or within the presence solution, we will enterprise-wide design and define a presence domain. And think about this presence domain when you select it, because you're going to live with it for a while. By default, SAM account name at presence domain is the format that is going to be utilized. That's the format that is most widely deployed today. It's the format that has the best support, and it's not necessarily the ideal format for your organization. I had a client recently who was bound and determined to use their mail ID or their email address rather than SAM account name. And the challenge was that Cisco was still in the process of developing complete supportability without any caveats for utilization of that format. Now, I was very much a fan of the proposition of using an alternate format, but it just wasn't fully supported yet. We found, caveat after caveat of things that just weren't quite ready yet. So right now, today in 2015, SAM account name at domain is going to be the most widely deployed and most widely supported format. However, I think that as we move forward, and in fact, it's currently supported in the releases that are out there, there are alternate formats of the Jabber ID, and there's actually a feature called Flexible Jabber ID, and I'm not going to get into the specifics of it. I want you to understand what the JIT is. I want you to understand that the default is user at presence domain, and I want you to understand that that means the default is SAM account name at presence domain. That concludes this module on LDAP integration and configuration of LDAP within Unified Communications Manager as a prerequisite. In the next module, we're going to discuss the integration requirements for the Microsoft Office applications with the Cisco Presence environment and Jabber for Windows. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next module.